Last week saw some familiar faces step up to the plate big time and make heads turn. Now we'll see if drivers like Luis Emerton can back up their good performances and continue to challenge for wins. Our drivers face a track that makes that possible, but also quickly gobbles up the overly confident. The high speeds and dangerously close walls of Road America make this an exciting one on many levels as we get ready to watch round 6 of the iRacing Kamel GT series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Bill Soup Zahn. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Bill, you and I have seen the virtual version of Road America many times over at this point, but for our viewers, let's hear the details.
You know, considered by some to be the best test of road racing in North America, Road America opened in 1956, and the track pretty much, the layout has remained virtually the same ever since. Now, for multi-class racing, which is what we have today, the length of this place, just over 4 miles or 6.5 kilometers. The perils of lap traffic will be minimized, but I think it'll still be there. There's 14 corners, and several of them afford passing opportunities. 2 of the best are down into Canada Corner or up into Turn 1. But as a fan and as a driver, my favorite is the left-hander, that is Corner 5. Watch for it on our video lap guide. I think it's the action corner on this track. Now, as for danger, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the kink. It's that high-speed right-hander that sets you up going down into Canada. One little mistake there, and your day is over. Many a Datsun has made its way around here, but even by 1990, they had gone extinct. So let's hope, and let's hop on board the Nissan to get an idea of what it's like to take a lap through the rolling countryside of Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin at Road America.
All right, we've got Clayton McLeod in the GSRC Nissan, so let's do a lap around Road America. Coming down the front stretch, Turn 1 offers a great place to pass, but the corner isn't as slow as you'd expect. That means you won't always be able to do it by outbraking someone. Be careful about dipping wheels off on the exit, and then very quickly you're into Turn 3. This is easily one of the most important corners of the track because of it leading onto the moraine sweep. Lining up your exit and getting the power down confidently will make a huge difference to your lap time and hopefully keep you safer from attack. That's because Turn 5 is one of the most popular places to overtake. It's got heavy downhill braking from a very high-speed section though, so expect a few drivers to overshoot it throughout the day. Try not to be one of them. From off of there, you'll have a short climb up to Turn 6 where the crest can make braking late pretty tricky. It's not hard to miss the apex. After that, you'll switch sides quick to line up Turn 7 into the hurry downs. You'll still need a lift through this fast bend, and then if you get a good run, there's sometimes a chance for a sneaky pass into Turn 8. Be very careful about how greedy you are on the power coming out of this corner. The turbo lag can loop you easily. Now we're in the carousel, which is a long and patience-trying sweeper. Try not to slip wide into the marbles or else it's a fast trip to the gravel. The best thing to do here is to try to set the car up for the exit to give yourself a good launch. With all the downforce on the Nissan, it means there's no lifting through the notorious kink. The kettle bottoms will weave you through the trees, and then you'll have to stomp the brakes for Canada Corner. This is where a lot of battles wind up in a last lap dive to get by. But as always, you've got to be careful with your right foot as you return to the power. The walls are ready to collect you on either side if you spin. Through the blind 13A, you'll be feathering the throttle, then get ready for the final turn. The curved braking makes it tough to maximize your entry, but it's the exit that should really concern you. Making sure to get a run up the hill is make or break for this lap and the next one. Hopefully, you've kept it all together and have now finished a lap around Road America.
So, with qualifying taking place, let's take a glance at the various championships that we use in this series. GTP are basically the pros in the Nissans, the GTP class. Fabian Gerber is up at the top of there. Now, things may have changed around a little bit since we last checked in on them because we have one drop week included, and that has bumped up Fabian Gerber 4 positions. You can see because of the drop weeks, pretty much everybody here in the top 5 has swapped around. Clayton McLeod goes up to second, really the closest challenger there to Fabian this season, which is great to see. Clayton certainly has been using his consistency and a little bit of extra speed to get into this. Now, we expect Fabian Jungbluth to probably be getting into the mix as well, as he typically does. He's jumped up 3 positions. And Lina Luoto, a little farther down, I think more due to lack of attendance. I think he should be here today. Actually, no, I do not see him in this session. So sad to see that he won't be able to try and cut into that. And then Nicholas Schneider rounds out our top 5. Let's go to the GTP Lights, basically the amateur championship that they run in this series. And with that, John Keefe is up at the top with the drop weeks now calculated in. A lot less movement here from what we've seen. Michel Rugenbrink does jump up to second, but he's a ways back. Really, the tight fight is there for that second spot. Rugenbrink, Bell, and Krejcik all very, very close together. And then 5th is a tie between 2 drivers. Now, we have 2 classes that we cover, 2 points battles that we cover in the GTO class. Bill, what's happening down there?
Yeah. Interesting in your GTPs, Simon and Poindexter, the GSRC stat boys, were telling me about how well Keefe is doing, not just in the lights division, but he's right up there as for an overall championship. But well, he's got 70 points compared to 75 for the leader in the pro class. Let's look at the GTOs. Now, with the drop weeks, he missed the very first round, and that's via Ruola. And then after that, he's won 3 in a row. He won at Bell Island, Summit Point, and Okayama. That's why he's way up at the top. Michael Howden there in second. You can see that Thompson, a little bit disadvantaged when it comes to drop races, as he had to drop 14. He had to drop some points there. He goes down a little bit. Jamie Hall and Ove Trengerade also rounding out the overlay. Let's go down to the next part. We'll look at the next class, and we'll go to the there. It's going to come up there in a minute. And now you can look at this one, and you can see that the scores here are much lower than they are in the GTO group. And you can see leading the way. There's only 4 of them actually, with Jetty leading with 50 points. Coy Visto, he races about everything we do here in GSRC. He's behind by 7. And then Shanahan and Rolf rounding out the overlay.
We are getting some times in, but before we go to the qualifying standings and cover the last 3 minutes of that, let's take a look at the race details and see what we have on tap for that. Of course, we are in round 6 of 12, and we do have 3 drop weeks. We've updated that now. Of course, that was done because of some issues that were had earlier in the season, agreement by all the participants that they wanted to add one in just to make it a little bit more fair for everybody. Today is a sprint race. They usually will do 60 minutes for longer ones. This one definitely going to be very fast with the straightaways. There is no pit stop because of that, because the setups are open in these cars, and they are set up to have enough fuel to make it the entire way. And there's the scoring at the bottom. The other thing to worry about, there is no incident limit in this series, so you will not be DQ'd for having too many off spins or contacts. Bill, taking a look at the qualifying, though, Fabian Gerber, there's 2 of them, just to make it difficult for you coming in here on the fly, leading the way in the GTPs. And the GTOs, no surprise there, as Ruola currently has the fastest time.
What's interesting is the lap times are about 16 seconds slower for the Audis than they are for the Nissan. So you figure it's going to be maybe about 7 laps, and then we'll start getting into lap traffic.
They do get 2 laps out there. One I'm watching, I wonder if we could get a camera on Philip Lake. He's currently second in the GTOs, and he's coming around for his second lap. He's got a second between himself and Ruola, so he's got a lot of time to make up, and he's certainly not going to do it this time as he decides to come into the pits. Oof, this is looking like it's going to be a lot like what we saw in the Lotus 49 race just a couple hours ago. It was Riley Thompson coming around for his lap.
Yeah, Lake looks to be, how can I phrase this, best in class in his class. There is Ruola, who seems to be in a class all by himself. He's a whole second faster.
And I'm not sure that Thompson is going to have the time to complete his lap, as he's only got about 40 seconds left here before we are done. In fact, I'm trying to see if Ove Trangrade is close enough. I don't think he is either. Oh, maybe Riley Thompson's going to make a liar of me. He is close enough. Crosses the line. Let's see if he can do better than he has the last couple races. And he does not he does improve on that second lap, but he's only able to get himself up into 5th in class. For those wondering, the GTP is pretty much mostly done with their qualifying, so we'll go through that order. We didn't get to see much of them since they've run so much quicker here than this GTO class. And indeed, Ove Trangrade going to run out of time. So, Bill, this you mentioned that the traffic a lot easier here since we've got a little bit of time. And, I mean, do you expect that drivers will have positions or places around the track where they could trip over each other?
You know, surprisingly, Road America is a difficult place to deal with lap traffic because of the back and left and right turns that are going on.
Qualifying is over, so let's go through that starting grid. Up at the top, Fabian Gerber has the pole. He's flanked by Tobias Gerber there on the outside of him. Nicholas Schneider will be starting in 3rd. Great qualifying for Nicholas. He seems to be another driver that's finding pace. Clayton McLeod will be starting in 4th. And then row 3 is started by Justin Albrecht. Lewis Emerton challenged for the win, but he's starting back in 6th. Still, an improvement in his pace has put him in position to find good points all season long. Michelle Rugenbrink will be starting in 7th with Radar Anderson in 8th. John Keefe starts 9th. He's followed by Reed Miller, who's come over to the GTPs instead of running his usual GTO car, starting in the top 10. Mike Kopak will be P11 at the drop of the green. Richard Keogh starts 12th. Donald Peake starts 13th. Stuart Lumpkin 14th, and Johnny Bell 15th, the last of our GTPs. Bill?
Okay, here's a fun consumption game, fans, as we as Soup tries to pronounce some of these unfamiliar names here. I'm going to go with Ville Ruula. How we do on that one, Joe? Is that what we got?
Yep.
Ville, there we go. Well, he's on the pole, and my goodness, he is fast, a whole second faster than Phil in and around the lake. Jamie Hall sits in 3rd ahead of Nicholas McConos. Then you get back to the man from Norway, Ove Trangrade. Is going to be sitting inside of row 2. He's going to be flanked by Riley Thompson. Rob Olenek is back there, 22nd overall inside of row 4. Milan Arnasi, is that what we'll go with on that one?
Got it.
There we go. Matteo Jetta, I'm going to go with on that. We're going with Jetta for that one.
Jette, I think he's French.
All right.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know. If I knew he was French, then yes, of course, he is Jetti. The man from Finland, Hideki Koivisto, races on all sorts of GSRC broadcasts. Always great to see him there. Last card on the grid, Ryan Shanahan. I think our fans are still sober. I did pretty good on that one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was very impressed. You can see the roof pace car has taken off, heading through the very quick turn 1, a lot faster than you'd expect, especially in these high downforce Nissans, and up to 3. And that leads on to probably one of the most critical straights. You talked about it, Bill, and I've got it basically dog-eared for a trouble spot, at least in the first lap or two, because from what I've seen, almost all races have some sort of issue as cars stack up to break into that turn 5.
Yeah, they need to put up a sign there that says no dive bombing, because it is just, if you get a good run, I think it's corner 3. Corner 4 is somewhere in between 3 and 5 down there. There's really not much of a corner, but it's just so tempting. And then, Joe, you talked about lap traffic. A lot of times the pass isn't even finished through 5. It goes on through 6 and 7. And then if you happen to get into lap traffic and then it leaves back from left-handers to right-handers, yeah, it can be technical. And the carousel, who knows where the racing line is there, at least for me. It's like, yeah, somewhere in here, but there's a lot of ways around that one.
And thankfully, with that downforce that these GTP cars have, you should see them swinging around the outside of that carousel. Here, yeah. Turn 6, very difficult, surprisingly difficult, I found, Bill. Just that crest right in the braking zone. I can never feel like I get the most out of that one.
I prepped a little bit in the Audi because I have I felt a little more comfortable than in the Nissan. The Nissan, for me, with somebody who is talent challenged, is like, man, this car, what can this car not do? Even the kinks seem to be at least for me, Joe, the kink and the Nissan seem to be less scary than it is than the cars. The Audi, you still have to worry a little bit about it.
Indeed, we mentioned that Lotus 49. The Audi been compared to that in terms of sheer grunt and lack of downforce and long braking zones.
Yeah, even though it probably takes more talent to drive it, I just feel more comfortable in it. I never feel like I get everything the Nissan has to offer out of it because it keeps surprising me of how really good it is.
Oh, just a beastly car. We're still watching that pace lap. This is why we took a while to get to the grid here. This is a long pace lap around this 4-mile track, but it's certainly not going to be taking them this long to get around this circuit. That was the kink that you just saw the GTP cars go through, and now we're going to watch the GTO cars work their way through. You can see they have split the field a little bit. They try to separate them to give a little space so that in case something happens at the tail end of the GTPs that they don't cause issues for the front of the GTO field. Then there's the passing in Canada corner, Bill, and that probably after turn 5 is where I expect to see most of the action.
But it doesn't always end here either. The pass sometimes doesn't get completed, and they go side by side through this area. And then as they come around, I won't be able to talk about it because we'll be going green, but notice how far the start-finish line is out of the final corner. There's a chance to steal something if you get a good run on the last lap out of this corner.
At least in the Audis, as these Nissans known for not cutting a huge hole in the air.
Yeah.
Though the slipstream does affect them slightly. Roof pace car peels off. Fabian Gerber has control of the field, waiting patiently for the wave of the green here for round 6, and now he takes off like a shot, absolutely leaves the rest of the field in the dust. Tobias Gerber being overtaken by Nicholas Schneider on the inside down into turn 1. Can Nicholas get himself into P2? He outbrakes his competitor.
Oh. Contact in the Audis, way in the back. Nicholas Meccano's got loose in about 6th position, took out several cars.
Wow, and you can see how small.
Jetta was one of them.
Oh my goodness, the Audi field is just suddenly shrunk significantly at the front. Didn't have that huge of a field with 26 cars today, so they are slowly streaming through, which is going to mean our GTPs are going to catch them all the quicker before all is said and done. And wow, John Keefe, remember he started this race in 9th. He's currently battling to get 5th, and I think he's got it as they come through turn 6.
And there's a pass for the lead, and the Audis, look at this, we can get there. Phil Lake has given Ruola everything he could ask for. What a surprise that we have a new leader in the Audis as Lake gets it done out of 6.
Oh, he is not sitting around on this one. Philip Lake putting a stamp at the start of this race. He's also got his teammate behind Ruola to help him out. Jamie Hall sitting in 3rd. The top 5 pretty much in a string of cars. We expect to see this much of the race as the draft. We expect to keep them together. Nissan's coming around now. Fabian Gerber leading the way by a whole 1.5 seconds over Nicholas Schneider instead of the other Gerber. In fact, Tobias has slipped down to 4th as Emerton now moves himself up into 3rd. I questioned whether or not we'd see more great performances from Luis. The answer is a big yes for the number 12.
Yeah, the law team of Gerber and Gerber now separated by 2 cars between them.
Oh, and we had an incident at the back of the GTP class. Looks like Mike Kopak involved in that. I think actually nobody else was. Everybody just had to scatter around him. Oh, and I spoke too soon. Looks like poor Don Peak clattered into him. I think we're going to get the replay here.
Great evasive action by Reed Miller as he goes out on the dirt to get around, but then that wasn't the case for the guys farther in the back.
We're going to watch here on the replay. It's coming into the final corner.
Yep,
that Kopak lost it. This is through Canada that they're heading right now, which is a real shame because Don actually, I think, collected a couple positions on the lead up to that. Let's hope it didn't cause him too much damage. You're going to watch from above. And I think it was just a little unsighted by the car ducking out at the last second.
He had to choose either to go left or right. He chose going middle.
Let's head over to the Audi since we haven't checked in on them in a while. Ruola is actually back ahead of Phil Lake.
Lake doing his very best. Remember, there was a second difference in qualifying time. Lake doing his very best to hang on. Hall had a great start. I thought he was actually going to get up to second, but he had to settle for third. Thompson and then Trengerade hanging back there in fifth. Those 5 drivers were ahead of the spin on lap 1. That's why there's a 9-second gap between Trengerade all the way back to Coyavisto in 6th.
You know, I was about to heap a little bit of praise on Thompson for finding more pace than we've seen in the last couple weeks from him, but he is dropping off of third a little bit, back into the clutches of Ove. He's got to hustle if he wants to stay with his train.
Yeah, and the Norwegian driver is not going to be patient as he sees the front 3 start to pull away.
Working their way through Canada corner. Once again, those top 3 of Ruola, Lake, and Hall finding great pace off of these corners. There we see Thompson on screen, closing a little bit under braking into the final corner. That's going to be a critical moment if he could get the run off of here and stay in that big hole this car punches in the air.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be able to get up to third. I think he's going to have to worry about hanging on to fourth. Here comes Trengerade. If he's going to see if he's going to dive it down into 1. He's on 2 car lengths back, and he's going to wait.
And I think we missed a big moment for Nicholas Schneider quite a while ago. We did. I don't think we can get the replay on this, but just an update. Schneider's down to 4th, and that is because into the hurry downs, he outbraked himself, lost the car. Both Emerton and Gerber, Tobias Gerber, slipped through. So, for the 2nd race in a row, the Taco Bell Nissan of Lewis Emerton is up to 2nd place. We understand a battle's going on. Just missed the information. Sounds like a battle for 10th here in the GTPs. In fact, relatively close, but for 9th, we should say, because Keogh is up in front of them. In fact, that might have been recent. We're hearing that he made a mistake, and he made another one into Canada corner. He was way off the apex, might as well have been in Canada. And bad news for him, Radar Anderson very much blinking everywhere.
Yeah, Anderson having horrible connection for him, but he's fast. Not a good run out of the final corner, though.
But he's creeping up on him. He's got a long straightaway to try and get this done, but there's not a lot of braking into the first corner. Richard looking slow in a straight line. Radar made that look easy. I wonder, does Richard have some damage that we can't see?
Yeah, I would almost think so. I'm going to take a peek look because that car had no straight line speed. I'm talking about Keogh. I really thought he was going to be comfortable into 1. It looks clean, and now he's under pressure from Reed Miller.
Could be. Yeah, Keogh is could be on a higher downforce setting as well. Might not necessarily be damage. Like you said, Miller already on the back of him. So far, we have 3 cars that are not on the track. That's Kopak, Mukanos, and Olenek. Otherwise, 23 of them still running. Your leader in the GTPs is Gerber, Fabian Gerber. He's leading by about 4.6 seconds. Your leader in the GTO is much, much closer. Ruola leading by only half a second.
Yeah, try as he might, Ruola not able to leave Phil Lake. I'm really impressed what Lake is able to do. Now, of course, there's a second difference in qualifying times, and the Audis are so draft dependent that it's probably a little easier for Phil Lake to hang on here. He does not want to lose touch with the fastest driver. The bad news is well, Trengerade has finally, I thought so. Trengerade was finally had enough of Thompson, made that pass. It's going to be hard work, though. The Norwegian driver is almost 2 seconds behind Hall in third.
He's certainly got some ground to make up. And if I'm Thompson, I'm thinking maybe try and ride the coattails of the Norwegian as they continue to lose ground. Ruola's lead been yo-yoing up and down. It was at half a second. He had some breathing space, but Lake reeled him back in here on the latter half of the course. They worked their way through the kink now. I don't think that Philip is close enough to try and make a dive down into Canada.
Yeah, I don't want to be pessimistic, but I think Phil's He's working hard just to hang on to the coattails. Passing, I don't think, is part of his plan right now.
Yeah, I think that woodworker is just basically biding his time, thinking end of the race, if anything, as we ride on board just on the nose of Lake.
I'll tell you who's coming, though. He's knocked off about 0.4 of a second, and that is Trengarade. Once he was able to get around Thompson, he's left Thompson behind, and he, sure enough, is closing in on Hall. Mark it down, 1.7 seconds. Boy, that car does not have straight line speed, though. And there was an issue. Let's go to Michael Rugenbrink. Is that where? Nope. I'm sorry, it's not. Nope. I heard a crash somewhere, but I don't know where it was.
Interesting.
Yep, I have nothing either. Sorry, Director.
We'll come back to it later. Oh, now we do have a crash, and Rugenbrink is involved in it. So is John Keefe. Oh, the bad luck.
Keefe is in the wall first.
The bad luck of the Hoosier strikes again. This was into the kink, and unfortunately, dipping his wheels into the grass on the exit was not what the doctor ordered.
He missed the apex of the kink. I talked about one little mistake. You can see that he's wide. He doesn't get to the spot.
Tried to keep his foot in it, but the green stuff just does not offer much in the way of grip. He had to take a tow, and Rugenbrink stayed out. I'm curious how much damage he got from that. He could have gotten lucky from the netcode, but he does have Albrecht all over him.
It happened so fast that it might have been that the iRacing didn't have time to blink before Rugenbrink was by.
There we see Albrecht following him down the moraine sweep towards turn 5, but losing a little bit of ground. So whatever damage that Michel has, it's obviously not hurting his straight line speed.
We don't need to go there. I just want to talk that Trengarade has knocked off another 0.3 of a second. That's going to be a 4-car battle there in the Audis pretty soon.
Ooh, and this is getting awful tight as a bad exit off a 6 for Rugenbrink offered an opportunity for Albrecht, but he has to back out of it. And update for Reed Miller fans, he did get past his teammate up into 9th. Richard slips to the top 10. Right on board with Albrecht, heading through the kink. Let's see if these two take it a little bit better than their compatriot. And they both swing through 5. Back over in the GTOs, you really haven't missed a whole lot. It's still Rolla, Lake, Hall, in the order in which they started.
Trengarade had a bad corner. He's dropped now about a half second back. He was making a run. He's fallen back some.
Yeah, and I was just about to say Trengarade, when I glanced over, was at about 1.4, so certainly not making the inroads that he wanted or was a moment ago.
Right.
And we're starting to see some traffic that our GTPs are working their way through, which can affect things. In fact, looks like Tobias Gerber and Nicholas Schneider get a little bit close to one another.
The good news is for Fabian Gerber, as he starts to come up on these guys, he's going to have Shanahan and Coivisto as we look at Tobias Gerber as they battle for third. He's going to get them one at a time. There's no real battles going on in the Audis back there. Oh,
off the apex for Tobias, and it's almost exactly what we saw with Albrecht and Rugenbrink, that Schneider just could not do anything being given the outside of the fast turn 7. Still, he is now all over that gearbox, Bill.
Yeah, he's back there doing a little bit of pestering here. He knows he has 27 minutes still to race. Just stay close. If you can't, you don't need to make the pass yet. You're probably not going to be able to get up to I guess, would that be his brother or his father? I'm not sure what the other Gerber is. But right now, Snyder back there in 4th, though, looking to get around this Gerber. Just pester him. See if you can get him to make a mistake.
I'll have to ask the Peanut Gallery, see if they know what the relation is between Tobias and Fabian.
Come up on Shanahan. Uh-oh. Look at the momentum he's going to get here.
Tobias caught him at a horrible place. Schneider right up behind him, But the exit is the important thing off of that last corner. Tobias got a good one, but was it good enough?
Honestly, I think Tobias got a better exit because Schneider got to Shanahan right at the apex and was pinned. Now they're coming up on Koivisto. Koivisto's a veteran. He'll know how to get out of the way.
Oh, Schneider sticks his nose in anyways, but he's got nowhere to go. He is eager, looking for any way around. Boy, Koivisto is sort of just at the wrong place at the wrong time, and now with a bit of a slipstream, Schneider rocking up to the back of Gerber. Gerber goes back to the racing line. Nick not close enough to actually make a move into 5. Still, I could see some opportunities coming up, maybe down into the Hurry Downs.
Now, traffic not an issue now. They've cleared them for a while. So these guys are going to get to play without any obstacles.
Both of them really taking it as far out as they can, swinging the cars to the edge of the track. Through the carousel they go. Tobias finding himself some breathing space now. So even though Fabian Gerber has managed to get a lead of about 7 seconds over Emerton, he's coming up onto something that might be a little bit more tricky. Traeger is first, and then there's those top 3, Bill.
I told you it'd be about 7 laps till they get there, and sure enough, it's going to be on lap 8 where they're here now. Now, fortunately, the 3 guys out in front, Ruola, Lake, and Hall, they're separated by about 8 or 9 car lengths each, so this should be a pretty easy pickings for Fabian.
Yeah, I think he caught them at the right time of the race. If it was about 3 laps ago, he certainly would have a much more difficult maneuvering through this battle.
That and a 6-second lead to the guys that are chasing you makes this a little easier. Careful.
Always helps to build as big of a buffer as you can. Gives you some leeway in taking your time, not have to make risky moves to get past this lap traffic. One more car. That's our leader, Ruola, and the blue, white, and red. And then the blue and white Nissan looking to the inside. Going to cost them both time, but he can't get off the corner fast enough. This is going to frustrate both drivers.
That was good news for Phil Lake. Now he's getting back. He's gained a lot of time, and he's going to gain time here too. Look at this.
Right on top of him, but he's balked at the exit of the corner. Has to check up. Phil Lake looking to the outside as a defensive move from Vili Ruola, looking for the over-under now. It's going to give him the outside of the carousel. That's never going to give him the... am I going to eat my words? Holy cow! How did he get up alongside him? It still didn't work, but that is incredible stuff. And now Emerton, he's going to be able to get through just in time.
My. That's going to give a great run to Lake. I think he's got a chance down into Canada. Here they come, Joe.
Philip Lake smells blood in the water as he swings to the inside into Canada. Vili Ruola late on the brakes, too late on the brakes. He slides the car, keeps it out of the gravel, but it hands it over to the UK&I driver.
And this is Gerber now in the mix. Here comes the Nissan battle, too.
It's Tobias and Schneider now having to weave through, and it's costing more time for Ruola. He caught the worst of that.
Oh. He's gonna lose second, I think. Paul's got a pretty good run. Jamie, go ahead, take a dive down in there. You're not gonna get many better opportunities than this. Force it, baby. Nope.
A little too timid on the brakes. This time, Ruola gets it right through turn 1. Stops the bleeding at second. But, man, whatever mirror he broke or black cat that he just walked behind, I think that Ruola is wondering what he did wrong today.
That could not have gone worse. Lap traffic for him. It's just like corner after corner. It was bad and then bad and then bad. Now the question is, I don't think Phil Lake has the speed to stay out in front of him, but can he defend?
Getting some information, I believe Martin Krejcik telling us that Tobias and Fabian are in fact brothers.
That's nice. That's nice.
Question, which one went on the baby food jar?
Who kept their room cleaner? That's what I want to know.
All right, as we look at Tobias actually still trying to hold off Schneider. I'm a bit sad that Schneider's fallen back to fourth because he has been feisty today. Really wanted to get back onto this podium, but that one mistake has certainly cost him going from second down to this position.
That just shows you the beauty of multi-class racing, what we just saw. Phil Lake, I'm sorry, Phil, you had no chance of catching Ruola until that lap traffic came around. And now all of a sudden you're in front by about 8 car lengths.
Well, I think he knew that. I think he knew he had to take whatever chance he could, but he also knows that Ruola is much faster based on that qualifying pace, and already he's been reeling him in corner after corner. Albrecht coming up on these guys now. Could he play a factor in this?
I think it might. This might help.
Oh, and Ruola's had enough of this. He covered off the inside. He said, no, not this time. I'm in a battle. Thank you very much.
Yeah, if you want to get around me, you get around me right here where you're doing it. And while you're at it, why don't you see if you can get up there to the leader? Look at the run he has, but he has nowhere to put it.
Yeah, that actually bit him in the end because the top speed these GTO cars had, Justin Albrecht couldn't get by until the braking zone. Poor Villi Rola, despite all the momentum, was boxed in.
All right, well, he thinks maybe have a chance down into Canada, but of course now he's got to do with McLeod.
Oh, and we had an incident maybe about 50 seconds ago. Stuart Lumpkin, unfortunately, did he get into the... Yes, he... Oh, no, he didn't. It was Richard Keogh. Richard Keogh had the incident.
A pass for the Audis, by the way. The lead just over there side by side.
And this is Lumpkin going to just squeak through on Keogh. Oh, we couldn't see it from that camera angle. But Richard spun across the track out of Canada corner, giving Lumpkins a scare.
Oh, my goodness. When we come back, the pass was made. There's some great racing.
Oh,
you got to go to the front. Yeah. We've seen this before around the outside from Lake through Canada.
We didn't catch it on screen, but Michelle Rugenbrink split the middle of Ruola and Lake before they came into Canada corner. Now they've got Reed Miller. Is he going to split him through the kink? Yes, he is. Has to wait patiently. Lake's got another run on him. And he's going to get the inside again into Canada corner. Did Ruola learn his lesson? Does he know where the breaking point is? Oh, just a little bit outside. Can he get the power down? No, he can't. Philip Lake, for the second time this race, gets it done into Canada corner.
Just to review what happened, Ruola made the pass into 5. Then you saw him go side by side all the way through 6, 7 into carousel. Then the pass was finally made. Lake's back again, but here he comes.
This time, no such traffic to get in the way on the inside. You can see just how much the draft helps. He slides to the inside of turn 1 here. And Philip Lake has no answer, lets him through.
And all the horseplay up in front has let the Norwegian back in the mist. Trend rate's there now. It's a 4-car battle.
I think Thompson, who's about 4 seconds back, is cheering these guys on to battle even more. He wants to get in this because he has dropped off big time. When Lake's going to lose another spot because Jamie Hall now ducking to the inside at turn 5. Can he get it done? Oh, he's got no place to carry it. His teammate Philip Lake around the outside carries the speed a little bit better. Now they're up to turn 6. Finally cuts off his team member.
Yeah, those boys cannot afford to be doing that. They're going to lose touch with the guy who's the fastest.
Up at the front, Fabian Gerber, in case you're a fan of the other Gerber, he has a gap about 8.5 seconds over Emerton. Now, he was fending off Luis last round. Some of that helped by traffic. That's about Emerton's only hope at this point, I'd say, because he does not look like he has the pace to try and chase that number 2 down.
Or any lap traffic that Gerber will have to deal with to slow him down as well. So he's got clear track ahead of him, at least for, oh my goodness, 3 or 4 corners.
You know, one thing we haven't mentioned is Trangerade, who I just saw actually make a mistake. It looks to be the teammate of Ruola. So we got two teams battling up here, and I would think it's in Ruola or in Trangrade's best interest to help his teammate out by just hassling both Hall and Lake as much as he can right now.
And right now, the hassle also comes from Anderson there as he tries to get in front. He's going to have to wait.
Anderson, unfortunately, discovering what a lot of the GTP drivers have, that the straight line speed of the Audi is something to behold.
And just the, I could be wrong. Joe, correct me if you think I am. Just the corner exit speed as well. This thing just seems to bite and go. When you want to go, it goes.
When you got four-wheel drive in your pocket, it helps a lot. But it can't come through the mid corner very fast, which we'll see right here.
God, Ruola gets crushed again.
Oh, but Anderson is going to get it, and he's going to deny an opportunity for Phil Lake, maybe. He takes a peek to the inside of turn 6, but just can't do anything still. It's brought him back into play. Oh, looks way to the inside, tries to sell a dummy to Philly Ruola. Doesn't quite work. Ruola outbreaks himself yet again. Seems to be the Achilles heel of the Finn. Every time he's put under pressure, just waits a little too long on the binders.
And Lake is really good through the carousel. He gets a good run off of here. Let's see if he can make another dive down into Canada. Ruola's figuring out where the braking zone is from the outside lane.
That's Johnny Bell that you catch flashes of behind them. That's the yellow GTP car. He's going to wait. He sees this is a battle for P1 in this class. Doesn't really need to interrupt it. There's nobody fighting him. Don Peak, the next car back at about 10 seconds back. And let's stay on this, but a quick mention. Peak up a number of positions here as he started 13th. And just by attrition, he's worked his way into a top 10.
Pretty good after T-boning somebody on the first lap. That's got to be happy with that.
Certainly, and he's got 14 minutes left to go. As our leaders now overtaken by Bell, doing a little bit better trying to get by. Yeah. Lake gets the slipstream, but he runs out of track for Ruola.
Good news was for Ruola is that Bell cleared him going into one, and Ruola could have a good corner entry in there. But look at this. They are right there. Now they got Kopak.
It never ends. It's a conveyor belt of GTP cars. And we've got a change for third place as Ove Trangrade has finally gotten past Jamie Hall. But Hall not going to sit around and let that sit. He goes to the outside. He's got the momentum. I think that was actually a lift from Trangrade, maybe.
Yeah, sure was. It felt like it. Either that or he's got some serious downforce on that car.
That's for sure. Now, I might need some more help from the peanut gallery here. I can recognize the English flag on the top of Lake's car. What flag do we have on the top of Hall? Probably going to feel silly when someone answers this one for me.
Some type of dragon. I think that may be from Game of Thrones.
Don't think that's the case, Bill.
I think he's from Westeros.
Is that Wales, maybe? I don't know. Someone's going to get angry at me for saying that, I'm sure, in the chat. The number 5, regardless, back into third. Thought we heard some information, didn't quite make it out.
Here they are coming at you. Going by you.
And there's Don Peak. Going to make his way through. There's our leaders. You can see the battle for third behind them as Peak is a little wide and unfortunately almost getting in the way of Hall. Manages to slip through now.
Donald said, give me a second. I'll get out of your way.
Milk Dud's car now cleanly through. Oh, and I think that was a mistake that we saw from Jamie Hall, which gives Ove Trangrade a great opportunity down the front stretch. He's not closing in. I almost wonder about this downforce thing you mentioned.
Either that or he picked up some damage somewhere, but I've been watching. I don't remember getting him in anything, but the car will not go in a straight line.
Very interesting stuff.
Now here comes Don Peak up behind the two leaders here. And Phil has to explain what Don needs to do because all the other Nissans have really ruined Ruola's racing line. So,
sure, Don doesn't want to do that for these guys, and he's very late on the brakes. Too late on the brakes as he barely squeaks out. They're going to be 3 wide. Contact with Philip Lake. Slows up to let him by at this point. Somehow, Ruola holds on to that lead.
Lake had a shot, but he didn't want to go 3 wide with the Nissan back marker in the mix.
You think that Ruola's going to have a little round table with all the GTP drivers after this one?
It has been a nightmare for him.
And still, Peak just going to wait patiently back there. He might be feeling a little bad at this point. Oh, making a mistake, and he's into the wall and up and over. I am pretty certain he's going to be a little embarrassed that that one showed up live.
And while I'm sure Ruola is a nice guy, I don't think he's all that unhappy to have Peak out of the mix. One less Nissan to deal with. Here we see it.
The turbo lag of the Nissan bites once again as it gets loose through the kink, and all the milk duds fall out of the box.
I empathize with Don there. That's the car just suddenly decides to go. I know what I mean.
Well, that great run has now sent him to the pits. He had to take a tow since it was on its lid. We haven't checked in with our leader in the GTPs in a while, and, well, fans of Fabian Gerber is now 12.7 seconds over Luis Emerton. It continues to extend. Our second race of today here on GSRC looking a lot like the first, as the lead car having it all his own way, at least in one of the classes.
Now, I learned something from John Ulmer, who races the HPD in a series we cover, the Absolute Beginner, or no, the Autobahn series. Sorry about that, guys. He's fast, and he likes to race a low downforce car. His theory is, let me be fast on the straightaways. If I'm slow in the corners, you're not going to be able to get around me anyway. But I want to be able to pass you. And I just go back to, if we can go back to Trengrade right now, racing in fourth. I think he's in this situation that the car is really good through the technical sections. But whenever they start to just get on the gas, that number 7 will not go. And here comes Gerber.
And Gerber had a scare. Oh! That was Hall trying to go to the right side, but then realizing that the leader's coming through, ducks back just in time. No harm, no foul. Everybody's through safe.
Hall knows to hold his racing line, but all of a sudden, I know I'm in the spot I do not want to be. He got back over where he belongs. Now let's watch here as Fabian coming up on the leaders of the Audis.
Is he gonna? I think he might interrupt Ruola once again. He does get a run past Lake, and the car is going to stall out probably at just the wrong time for Vili. Just managing to get by him and doesn't hold him up for once. And a wipe of the brow for the Finn. And what do you know, Bill? I made a guess that was actually right for once. We're getting information that it was the Welsh flag on top of Hall.
Very impressive.
That I don't want to claim that was knowledge. That was a wild stab.
A lot of dragons in Wales.
You would think there'd be a lot of dolphins and porpoises over in Wales.
Oh, no, jeez.
Wrong.
Oh, God, I'm
wrong
glad.
Whale.
This is our last race of the weekend, and it can't come soon enough for the Joe Peak puns. Can we go back to Lake? Look at this. He's there again. Golly.
You got to give him credit for persistence.
Yeah.
Whatever. And this almost makes me wonder, Bill. The qualifying is 2 laps of here in this series. Did Lake maybe have a bad qualifying? Is his pace better than what it showed?
You know what else is neat? We like to show the whole field, and we've kind of been able to do that by focusing on Ruola and Lake as all the Nissans come through one at a time. Here comes another one. This is Richard Keogh in 10th place driver.
Boy, he's had some adventures today. Richard, actually, we missed it and don't need to go back to about 2 laps ago. Gave a scare to our GTP leader as he went wide at turn 5 and put Phil Lake off of his line, as we saw from the back of Phil Ruola.
Oh, that was Emerton diving in down. Now Keogh's a lap down. Emerton says, "I'm coming through." I think he has.
Oh, and Keogh is off track. Keeps it out of the wall, leaves 2 long tire tracks through the gravel and the grass, returns without hitting anything, but not without a scare.
The way Emerton knifed his way through the Audis, I think he has visions of getting up to the lead. I think it's more of a fantasy than a reality, but my gosh, he went through there.
And all of these problems for the number 23 of Richard has actually allowed Stuart Lumpkin, who probably thought he's not going to see anybody else this whole race long, to get within 5 seconds.
Yeah.
He's looking up the road thinking, hey, I got something to fight for now. We see Stuart Lumpkin, excuse me, I apologize. I keep getting his name wrong. He deserves some screen time for keeping in this one. We have a Simpkin in some of our other series, and I think that's confusing me, Bill.
All right.
That's my excuse.
I'm going to write that one down and use it myself. You know, we haven't talked. Can we quickly give a little love to the car number 13, the Audi, Riley Thompson? He's in 5th. He really hasn't been racing with anybody. We haven't shown a lot of the other Audis back there after that early incident. He's having a nice run.
And this is really symptomatic of what we've seen from Riley since probably, I'd say, about race 3. He came out swinging at the final rounds of last season and the first couple rounds of this season. And since then, that number 13, something's happened. He hasn't been on pace. He hasn't been battling for wins. I don't know what it is, but Riley Thompson has been struggling for the last few races of this season. Still, he's going to get a top 5 if he holds this position. A little bit of an update up at the top of the GTOs. Rola's now got a 3-second gap over Lake, and in fact, Lake is more worried about Hall and Trangerade behind him. Here comes the car of Lumpkin. Is he going to make it 3 wide? Yes, he is. He'll be able to outbrake the 2 Audis. Lake has the inside. They make door-to-door contact. The Welshman has to back out of it. And Ove Trangerade now all over him, but can't do anything with it.
Yeah, you just had to figure it was a matter of time before Ruola would start to pull away, and it's finally happened. And like Joe said, now Lake has to focus his attention in the rearview mirror rather than windscreen.
Boy, what a breath of fresh air for Ruola.
Yeah.
Finally be able to run his race. As we ride on board with Trangerade at the tail of these cars, that is Justin Albrecht working his way through. In GTP car, very much stuck for the moment. You said traffic wouldn't be a problem here, Bill, but that was an awful prediction.
I was totally wrong. I thought it'd be a piece of cake. Now, will he be able to go around the outside of the carousel? I guess so.
This is where they shine for sure. And in fact, he gets both cars. That shows you just how much downforce the underside of the Nissan has compared to the Audis.
There goes Clayton McLeod by as well. Ruola saw him, held his racing line.
We have about a lap and... Oh, and Clayton going off. Now, out of Canada corner, he does have some room back to Rugenbrink. Yep. So while it pulls him away from Albrecht for that battle for 4th, he really doesn't have to sweat it too much. Because, I was just about to say before we had to go to McLeod, now we have a lap and a half to go. Fabian Gerber, with just under 2 minutes left and coming around turn 6 and 15.5 seconds gap, can cruise to the victory at this point.
Just to put a little exclamation point on Rola's problems today, though. McLeod goes around him and then goes off, and that means McLeod has to go around him again. So even not only do the cars have to pass him once, sometimes they'll have to pass him twice.
Do Finns gesticulate in the car? I know that's a very Italian thing, but I have to wonder, because I would think that the Rola's probably past the boiling point on this one. Even the cool-headed Finns at some point lose patience.
And I can't get over, you saw it in your screen, here comes Trengrade. This is where he's going to be good. He makes the move finally. I think the car is going to be strong in the corner. Now, can it get going? Can the 7 have any kind of go power?
Oh, and Rugen Brink behind them just to complicate things, but he gets it done. Does Ove Trengrade to find the podium, but he's going to be put offline by Rugen Brink at the very next corner. Can't get to the power in time. Now he slices through, but Ove Trengrade stops the car behind of Jamie Hall from passing him still.
And maybe the best thing that could happen to Trengrade is Reed Miller here, who slows down Hall. Oh! He lost all of his momentum off on the grass because of Miller going by. Here comes Hall. Is he going to force the issue? No.
Oh, but he's looking very unsteady under the brakes. Jamie Hall struggling with those tires. They're going to get one more lap to do it, Bill. I'm keeping an eye on the leader, so don't worry. And this is going to be a good opportunity for Hall if he could just get the run off the final corner.
Yeah, and I think maybe now that Trengrade's out in front, now we'll see if he's faster through the technical sections like he was. Then he'll have to play defense. I think the pass is going to be made down into Canada from Hall.
Gerber in the kink. He's got 3 more corners to go. Canada corner coming up. You can see the gap on screen, 16, nearly 17 seconds over Emerton. This little bit of traffic, it's Milan and Nosy. Hadn't seen him all race long. Poor guy finally gets it being lapped here at the end. He's going to let him through easily with one final corner. Fabian Gerber, another win on his belt here at Road America for round 6 of the Kamel GT series.
Milan going to lap down, saves him 4 miles of driving. Here comes Rolla.
Yeah, Rolla's still got half a lap to go himself, and he's not out of danger.
Look at that. He's back.
The Englishman still keeping him within reaching distance as they go around the carousel. He's going to have to get a whole lot closer, though, if he wants an opportunity. They don't have any traffic anywhere for the Nissans. It is down to the GTO cars.
The Audi punches a big hole, but I don't think it's that long. I don't think Lake is in it right now.
Certainly not. It's going to take a major mistake from Rolla from here on out for an opportunity to present itself for the Englishman. One corner left for Willy Rolla. He's had everything thrown at him. Fate has tried its best to peel the win away from Willy Rolla, but as he comes across the line, the Finn is going to take the win here in round 6.
Rolla and Lake put on a great show. Thanks, guys.
Lake will settle for second. Ove Trengrade, how about this? Getting himself a podium. I'm sure he'll take that. With that, we are going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. No battles left here for the remainder of the field. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. And stick around because on screen you're going to see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC. Welcome back to Road America in beautiful Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, the virtual version at least. And after round 6 of the Kamel GT series, Fabian Gerber came away with the win, and there really wasn't much doubt for the race for that GTP winner. Lewis Emerton continues his streak. I gave him a bit of a challenge there up at the top of the broadcast, questioning if he could keep it up, and he gave me a yes. Nicholas Schneider with a nice podium back there. He was fighting with Justin Albrecht for a while. Albrecht took 4th over Clayton McLeod, who gets himself a top 5. Michelle Rugenbrink was not without some damage, we think, throughout the race. Still got a 6th place. Reed Miller was 7th behind him, having climbed from 10th. Radar Anderson starts 8th, finishes 8th. Can't complain about that. Johnny Bell, despite some early problems, from 15th to 9th. Quite a run by him. Stuart Lumpkin finished in 10th. And the last of our GTP cars that saw the checkered flag was Richard Keogh in 11th. Bill?
And one of the hardest earned wins you'd ever see. Vieira Ruolo comes home leading in the Audis. My goodness, he had to work for it. He lost the lead several times to Phil Lake. Lake pestered him the entire race, had to settle for 2nd. Ove Tengeru was finally, after 38 minutes of racing, able to get around Jamie Hall for that final podium spot. Hall has to settle for 4th. Riley Thompson, we talked a little bit about him, had a quiet 5th place finish. Hideki Koivisto does what he does, brings the car home safely in 6th. Milan Arnozzi behind him in 7th. And Brian Shanahan is going to be the 8th in class. Joe, then we get to some more of your guys.
Yes, we've got Michael Kopak finishing in 20th, Don Peak 21st. Tobias Gerber, what a disappointment for him. Wound up in 22nd after what could have been a podium, and John Keefe in 23rd. These are all pretty much DNFs. Mathieu Jeté finishing 24th, Rob Olenek 25th, and Nick Mukanos in 26th position. We have our 2nd place finisher, Luis Emerton, ready to talk to us again. He talked to us last week, seemed pretty happy. I have to imagine the feelings have extended here to this race. Luis, we were wondering if you could keep this up, and man, you are showing fantastic pace.
Yeah, again, I'm just as surprised as last week. Like in practice, I was doing roughly the similar times Fabian Gerber, but then I started preparing for Spa 24 hours, so I was driving more GT3 stuff, hopped back in the Nissan and just couldn't do more than 2 laps without crashing. So I'm pretty surprised.
Well, we're glad that you decided to join us then. I'm sure you're probably going to be tired after the day is over. It must be something with that Taco Bell sponsorship, giving your car that little extra gas.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that's it.
I think
God.
I've been annoying the crew with my puns today. So that's two podiums in a row. When do you next hop into the car over at Spa?
I've got about 3 hours, so I've got a nice break to go and chill out because it's going to take me a while to come down from.
Yeah, I'd say brew yourself a little bit of tea, relax for a second, and have some fun enjoying the rest of the race. You've earned it there with a great one today at Road America.
Thank you very much, guys. Take care.
Up next, Bill, going to be talking to 2nd place over in the GTO class. Phil Lake going to be joining us.
Bring Phil down in here. Phil, thanks for putting on a good show. I know that lap traffic was an issue, and I'm sure it was annoying for you, but it was not nearly as annoying as it was to the guy you were chasing. My gosh, the lap traffic seemed to catch Ruolo at the worst places, gave you opportunity after opportunity.
Yeah. The traffic is what makes this series, I think. I'm working around it, and a lot of my opportunities today were using the traffic to my advantage, and just I'm getting lucky a lot of the time.
There was one opportunity. There was the Nissan. I think it was Don Peak was involved in it. You had a chance to go 3 wide, and I could just feel you say, "Nah, not here."
Yeah. I might have gone for it if there was just a little bit more space, but it was a little bit too close.
Let me ask you, because we were talking to some of the drivers we saw that didn't have straight line speed. I want to ask a little bit about the Audi, what you can do. Maybe it's gearing or downforce. Are you able to play with that in this car?
The Audi has 2 aero packages. There's a high downforce package and a standard package. And the only real difference is right at the very end of fifth gear. So I doubt anyone would have been running the high downforce package today.
Did why a second slower than your qualifying was? We were worried about you early on. Oh my gosh, he's a second slower than Rolo. He's not going to be able to race with him. Bad qualifying, or were you just good in race trim?
I'd say good in race trim. I struggle with qualifying every week pretty much. So I know if I'm around a second off of the top guys, then I should be in and around with them in the race.
In and around, that's what you are, buddy. Way to go. All right, congratulations. I know you didn't get the win, but man, you put on a great show. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Phil, in and around the lake.
One last driver from the GTO class, Riley Thompson. Let's talk to him a little bit about his run out here today. Riley, early on, you were kind of keeping touch with the leaders, and then they just started to streak away. What's been going on with your pace lately? We saw you win some races, and now you've just been kind of lingering in the mid-pack.
Yeah, I think right now we're just out of it. So, yeah. In those, I think it was turns 5 and 6 with the Corvette bridge, I was losing so much time and locking up a lot, so that didn't help at all.
Yeah, talking about those lockups, this car kind of known for being tricky under heavy braking zones. How did you feel out there trying to get on the binders? Was the car pretty stable, or was it very difficult to keep straight?
It was stable for the most part, but it was kind of overruled by all the locking up, and the car would just want to go straight anyway. So
now we talked to Luis about running in the 24 Hours of Spa. Are you with a team out there, or is this it for you today? Just relax otherwise.
Yes, sir. We're running right now.
All right. Well, best of luck to your team over at Spa. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, the guys over at Total Downforce Racing, Stefan for making the setup, and Black Box for sponsoring this amazing car.
All right. Well, best of luck to the rest of the season. That was Riley Thompson. They're finishing 5th in the GTOs. We want to thank a few people before we go as well. A big thank you goes out to the Kamel GT community for bringing back GSRC for yet another season. We love getting to cover this series. As we can see, it still puts on a great show even after covering it for over a year now. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. You can see them listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Bill, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at /GlobalSimRacingChannel, and Instagram at GSRC_RAM. Don't forget, head on over to our YouTube page. There's a big red button there that says subscribe. If you click that, you'll have all of our videos show up in your YouTube feed, and you won't miss a moment here on the GSRC. The next race, boy, you talk about a challenge. Very different from this one. VIR is up next. That'll be Saturday, July 28th at 1 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.